everyone, got a good one for you today. We are reviewing Earthworm Jim Launched the Cow. Some of you might remember this from Doug to Naples' campaign, and I must say, this is quite the comic book. I already made a few statements on how I feel about this printing during the unboxing on my live stream, but it really does have a lot of weight to it when you're selling this to fans for, nostalgia purposes. It's nice to put a lot of thought into the printing. And this hardcover definitely has all the bells and whistles. You can feel the characters popping out on the page. You can see the little golden parts glitter. There's literally gold on the edges of the paper. It's like a Bible. And especially people who want a copy of this comic to last them a long time, they're going to love this, because this feels like it could be thrown up against a million walls and still be fine. And then you open it up and you have this fun little piece of, I guess this is Jim's drawing of himself. And then on the other side, there's a few crows talking about the hole in the middle of the page, which I thought was kind of cute and clever. It's not like a canon bit as far as in the book goes, but I enjoyed that. There's a lot of thought that gets put into the printing itself. Now, getting into the actual story of the book, I wasn't really an OG Earthworm Jim fan. I didn't start actually looking into it until more recently. From what I understood about the origin story of Earthworm Jim is basically there's just this super suit who makes whoever goes inside it super strong and more intelligent, and basically turns them into a superhero, Captain American style. And the joke would be that a normal earthworm went into the suit. The intelligence boost doesn't really do anything for him because he's already just a normal earthworm. So all it does is really give him the ability to speak, but he's still kind of stupid because he's just a worm and he doesn't have actual experience in life. But this comic is supposed to be telling the actual origin story of Earthworm Jim, whereas, I guess the cartoon tells you the origin story in a brief little opening theme. So what I was missing from that analysis is this idea of this comet lady who actually apparently filled the suit with some kind of magical glitter. And the idea is that it's not the suit itself that made Earthworm Jim able to talk, but rather it's this magical glitter. It's kind of random, because this comet lady never really comes up again later on in the book, so it kind of seems like she's just here for the plot device. But for the purposes of this story, this telling of his origin story, it makes sense, because even when he leaves the suit, he's still can talk, and he's still giant. So it makes sense in the context of the story that there would be some magic involved. So while he's in the suit making new friends with his newfound intelligence, he finds himself enjoying life and not really understanding the suit or what it's for or how it's important that he has it. And of course the princess goes looking for him to get the suit back. It's funny, in the cartoon I never actually realized that her real name is what's-her-name. I just always assumed that the joke was that Jim never learned her name, so he just kept on calling her what's-her-name. But no, that's her canon name, guys. So sure enough, the Psycho finds them and comes after the suit, and they get into a bunch of hijinks. One of the bits that I loved most about this comic is he blast this mechanical bull by accident as part of a threat. And then they go on this tangent with all the people in the bar talking about how that mechanical bull was so important and how they won a Purple Heart and how they got the gold medal in the Olympics and Nobel Peace Prize, and apparently this particular mechanical bull was also on the brink for the cure for cancer. And it's a very silly tangent to go on. I think the overall charm of the characters alone really help pull the story along. As far as being a comedy goes, I feel like the comedy was pretty bare bones for most of the comic, with him just like not understanding what's going on and then all of the sudden coming to realization of what's going on. It's kind of an overdone joke, and there's a lot that you can do with kind of ditzy characters, so I feel like you didn't have to do what was virtually the same joke with the same punchline over and over again. There's also a lot of jokes in here that I felt like might have worked better in an animated series, mostly because of the verbal comedy behind it would have enhanced it. Actually, I have a good example of this, because I'm sure that you guys have no idea what I'm trying to say. So one of the good scenes in this comic book involves, like, Jim about to be eaten, and he's trying to get his buddy here to switch sides and decide to help him. And one of the things that he says to him that convinces Peter to help him is that he says he's a good dog, which is nice. You know, that's a cute way to get a dog to switch sides and join you instead. But to take this joke and give it a lot more like emphasis and make it funnier, I feel like you would have to do it in an animated series, mainly because, you know, comics don't really have that back and forth comedy like you can do with animation. You have to basically edit and cut a lot of stuff or try to squeeze stuff to fit in a minimum amount of panels through the pages. But also I feel like verbally saying that this is a good dog here kind of enhances the comedy of like how silly it is to get a dog riled up by saying that they're a good dog. You know, like Earthworm Jim says, "Who's a good dog?" And he goes, I'm a good dog, and his tail like slowly starts to wag, and he's like, You're a good dog! It's like, I am a good dog! Like I said before, this is a good scene, and this is like a decent joke. It's a silly, funny, and cute joke. I just wonder if a lot of these jokes would work better if there was a voice behind it that kind of, you know, added that silliness to it, and if there was like animation behind it that added that visual comedy factor of going back and forth. There's also some jokes that seem to come out of nowhere. It's like, first Jim has to fight off the lawyers for Doug to Naples to get his rights back. It's like, I guess that's funny if you're fighting in hell and you're saying that all of those lawyers can go to hell. But it does seem kind of like a out of place throwaway joke, and then he fights a snowman who just immediately melts because he's in hell. So it's like kind of, okay, what was the point of that? And then they have a joke of the cat named Evil also not liking the word America, you know, not the word God, but just America. And the reasoning behind it because he's a communist, which is like very silly. But also, like I said before, it doesn't feel like it was set up at all, that this Evil, the cat, was a communist. If it was set up, it would probably help with the comedy. A lot of these jokes, for some reason, just in this part of the comic where he's in hell, it just seems like a lot of jokes are really throwaway jokes that don't have much setup. Let me try to adjust my camera, maybe that'll help a little bit. So like if you had set up this cat being Russian, this might be a lot more funny. Like maybe if he had one of those, what do they call those hats? One of those Russian and fuzzy hats. Or if you had him with a Russian accent. But of course, I guess that is more difficult to do in comic form because you have to rely on the audience's imagination to know that he's speaking in a Russian accent. But if there was more setup to this joke, it would probably be more funny. If there was more focus on the jokes that were told in hell in general, I think they would be more funny. This does also seem like it's written to be an all-ages book, so some might argue that the communism reference is a little bit inappropriate, or that politics in general is a little bit inappropriate to be putting in an all-ages book. As far as my opinion on the matter, I do think politics is a little bit skeezy to put in all ages stuff and stuff that you would intend for kids. But at the same time, I do remember, like, in Looney Tunes, they had a bunch of cartoons of, like, Daffy and Bugs Bunny beating up Nazis, and no one really has a problem with that. And I think that's maybe because there was so much World War II propaganda when that was going down, because a lot of people didn't want to go to war, and everyone basically had to hype people up to go to war. You know, because it's so hard to convince people that war is the right option. When I did read this joke, I did think it was a little bit jarring to see like the Russian communist symbol in the background. And, you know, maybe the history behind World War II makes it a little bit more okay in people's eyes to do references to World War II with kids' cartoons, but not okay to do references to communism because we're not technically at war with communism. Yet, anyway. But you heard it from here first, folks. Communism is evil. I mean, his name is literally evil. But overall, I gotta say the art is great, the book feels good, feels printed very nicely, high quality. The story is solid. I think that the comedy could be improved on if you wanted to do another Earthworm Jim book, focusing on other stories of this character. The creative ideas and the nostalgia behind the Earthworm Jim property is definitely charming, and I think will get a lot of people to put their money towards more projects like this. It's definitely true considering that Bigfoot Bill is another thing that happened out of the Indiegogo campaigns, which I'll definitely have to review next time. But anyway, I'm sure you guys have your own thoughts and opinion on the matter, so definitely leave your thoughts down below in the comments section. Remember to like the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!